Do you hear the brim popping? Can you say frog flipping material? Yeah, this video is gonna be controversial, but you can't have a good conversation without a little controversy, right? Starting some a lot of you guys ask me why I do not tournament fish. And, you know, maybe I'll fish a few tournaments down the road, maybe a little wildcat or something like that. But there are a million reasons why I don't tournament fish anymore, from the payout versus what you actually put into it, the fish care, that's a big one. But I figured this would be a kind of a cool, fun time to do a little story time, because I don't tell you guys much about my old tournament fishing experience and stuff. So we're going to rewind the clock and go back in time and talk tournament fishing. I used to fish a lot of derbs. It was actually before even bogs time. It was back when I had a red nose pit, and I love tournament fishing. I love any kind of fishing, dude. I'm out here because this experience, fish catching or not fish catching, is something that I need. I'm sure you guys are like that. If you're watching this video, you probably need that. So I used to fish a lot of BFLs, a lot of, you know, like open tournaments, things along those lines. So back in the day, I had that Tracker 175. You guys remember that? Awesome little boat. Maybe a little small for fishing Lake Okeechobee, but if you're gonna send it, bro. I think I racked up like a second place and a third place in the couple years that I fished them. One of the first BFLs I fished out of my Tracker 175, and it was one of the times that I got, I think, the third place with only 4 fish, ironically. That was a screw up on my part. I let things get in my head. But what happened during that derb that really gave me a bad taste in my mouth? Maybe I'm a little too altruistic and puristic, but I was fishing on my Tracker 175, a little tin boat. You know, 90% of the field has either a fiberglass boat or a big fiberglass boat with a 250, a 200, 19, 20, 21 foot. And I had 3 fish, so I was actually flipping stuff that looked a lot like this, chop grass mats. And I had 3 bigs for probably like 15 pounds or so, maybe 16 pounds. So I was on a bag, dude. And my flipping bite kind of dried up. I was going to go back and fish it, but I was flipping a 1.5 with a cricket. It was early season Okeechobee fishing. The fish are tucked up in the mats. They're cold, but they want to move into spawn. So basically, we're daubing it, dude. We're pitching it in there in these little sort of pockets of chop grass that had like chop grass over the top. There was some cane that would create like a little head or almost like a little pond or puddle right there, and you flip it in there and you just slowly lift it to the top. And sometimes I would hold it at the top, sometimes I would slowly lift it at the top, and after 10 or 15 times or 30 seconds or so, you feel it was a bass, dude. It was an epic day. But what ended up happening is that kind of dried up. So I'm like, hey, you know, I got a hard spot. If these fish are moving up to spawn, there's probably some fish that are a little outside of this range, a little outside of this area, using sort of an offshore hard spot to sort of stage on to move up into the grass. And so what I did is I ran out of the grass, probably maybe like 100 yards or so, to it's like a little rock bar next to a ditch. Got out the 3/4 ounce trap, you know, an old red eye shad, and started ripping it. There were a few little grass patches out there, but mostly it was like rock hard bottom, and I was basically fishing a trap like you'd fish a crankbait, you know, running it along the bottom and bouncing the nose of the trap off the bottom, and every once in a while just ripping it, dude, like it just fast as I could, so real slow, and then and they would eat it when you'd rip it and create that reaction. It would just trigger them, like they were almost following it. So I pulled up on this spot, and it's maybe like 30-40 yards wide or so, and out in the open of the lake. So about 5 minutes in, I catch like a 2-pounder or something like that, and it didn't measure. It was actually like a short, stubby fish. I'm like, that's tough, dude. It is what it is. About 5 minutes later, and it's a real quick bite. You know, if they're there, they're gonna bite. You're gonna catch them in the first 20-30 casts or so. So I sling that thing back out there. I catch a 4-pounder, dude. Fighting it, dude. My co-angler nets it, scoops it. I'm like, yes, finally, fish number 4. You know, like we're getting close, because it was about 1 o'clock at the time, and I think my weigh-in was like 3:45. So I land that fish. I'm all fired up. Well, out of my left comes, I think it was a skeeter, if I remember right. This is like 2011 or so, 2012, way back then, dude. So this big skeeter with a big motor literally comes blazing in on me, dude, and freaking drives up, parks right in front of me. And I'm not talking like 100 yards, you know, 200 yards, literally like less than a cast away, parks in front of me and drops his power poles. And I'm like, dude, WTF, you know, like, maybe, and this is where things get dicey, and you can say cry me a river, drop it in the comments box. I have no problem if you guys chastise me. I'm just framing up my experience and what sort of jaded me, I guess, when it comes to tournament fishing. But the dude pulls up, and literally says nothing to me, dude. Won't even make eye contact. I'm like, all right, like I know you saw me catch that fish even though you're blazing in here at 60 miles an hour. And yeah, it's one thing, a lot of days now, especially like ledge fishing and stuff, you'll have guys fish next to each other, but there's a certain like rapport. You guys saw it in like the Pickwick Ledge tournament. Yeah, you have a conversation, you're polite about it. Hey, do you mind if I fish here? Do you mind if I fish next to you? There's one cast that I want to make, there's one cast you want to make. Yeah, you just kind of have a discourse and keep it, I don't know, like nice, I guess, for lack of a better word. I think it's common sense and common politeness. This dude won't even look at me, and to be honest with you, I think he assumed I wasn't in the tournament because I didn't have the nice boat, because I didn't have the big boat, because I'm in a tin boat, you know, and I'm some kid just slanging around. I think he assumed that I was just some kid slanging around, and he had every right to literally bust right on top of my fish, drop down, drop his power poles, and do his thing. Now you can say the lake is for everybody, and I 100% agree with that. Nobody owns, unless it's some private pond, nobody owns the water, dude. You can fish wherever you want. But for me, it was more the experience of that attitude of privilege, that attitude of like, you know, I got the boat, I deserve this, I'm earning this, like I'm important. Like, you're not, dude. We're all unimportant, unvaluable. We are what we are, dude. Like, sometimes I think some of these guys, when it comes to tournament fishing, they think they're an echelon above and they get a little fat-headed about it. Not saying everybody. There's a lot of guys that tournament fish that are super cool, super down to earth, super polite too, dude. I've had times in Gunnersville when some dude's pulled up next to me and he's been like, hey man, you know, I'm fishing this for a derb. And I'm like, dude, have at it. I'm out of here. I'm just screwing around shooting a video. At the same time though, I got every right to shoot a video and like do my thing. But you know, a certain level of politeness and common decency to each other. And I think sometimes when it comes to that competition aspect and that tournament aspect, some people sort of lose grip on the nice normal people they are, and they get a little wound up, dude. You know, they I gotta get that fish, I gotta go do that, it's mine, it's mine, it's mine. And it's like, no, it's not. Now, is it a part of the game? Yeah. You know, like in the end, you're going to end up kind of fighting and sort of playing chess with people to access the spots that you want to fish. Because in the end, a lot of people know about the same spot. You'd be amazed. You find some spot you think is top secret, and there's like 20 other guys that know about it. You know, that's just the reality with fishing, with electronics, with mapping that we have. You can call me a crybaby, but feel free to do it down in the comments box. I really don't give a The reality is, I just don't like that attitude, you know, that it's fine to hunt down fish, to catch fish, to, you know, get your spots, so play chess with them, which I actually did the following year. You know, I got on a flipping bite, and part of the strategy with that bite is I had a 100-yard stretch, and they were winning fish. I ended up, I think, getting like a second place, and I screwed up. I didn't hit, whatever. You know, we always, if I wish I coulda, you know. But one of the realities is, because I had that stretch, and it was in sort of a community hole area, but it was a small little stretch, what ended up happening is I had to actually protect it. So once again, you know, I'm in a smaller boat. I actually borrowed, I think, a fiberglass boat, my buddy Jim Finley's boat at the time. And I found a small magical stretch, and there was some very isolated cover, kind of like these little pops of grass. They were super like segregated, super small, and it was a key to be on this one little line. And what I actually had to do, because I would catch like a 4.5, 5 pounder, catch a 6 pounder, and literally, dude, out of nowhere, because there's boats all around me, every single one would come in. It was once again during a BFL. But what I actually had to do was not only like figure out my line, catch those fish, but a part of the strategy and the process was playing chess to make sure these guys were boxed out of the stretch that I had. So I had to sort of like guard that area. I could never go too far past. I could never go too far out from it. If I ever left that, guys were trying to kind of creep on in and sneak on in. And I know it's competitive and that's a part of the game, but frankly, I don't like that. Like, if I'm being totally honest, I don't like that attitude and like that environment, dude. I want to go out and catch some fish and learn and have some fun. And when it comes to that sort of mentality, it changes some people. Not all, by any means. There's a lot of super, you know, common sense, nice friggin' tournament anglers. But some people, they get that itch and a different person comes out. What do you think, Bog? You want to go tournament fishing? No. That's one of the many reasons why I'm not a big tournament fishing fan. I enjoy watching the live streams, the MLF. I love listening to JT commentate, Mark Zona on the Elite series. You know, and these guys are good. There's no doubt, you know, especially at the higher levels. The regional levels, I think, are personally like better. Like some of the guys that fish, say like it was called the Costa, now it's called the Toyota Series, or the Bass Opens. These are some absolute hammers, and most often the ones that actually don't, when they qualify and they don't go on to fish, say like the Elite Series or the BPT or the Pro Circuit, it's not because they can't, it's because they either have a family, they have obligations, they have a regular job, but in their region and on that set of lakes, they're absolute hammers. That's my soapbox. Message of the story, whether you like it or not, don't be a dick. Dicks suck. That didn't come out right, but it's a lesson like many other lessons. Don't be that guy, because that guy's not cool. Like, he's not. Nobody likes that guy. So don't be that guy. Hope that clears up some of my perspectives on tournament fishing. I'll share some other stories with you if you guys enjoy this. I got a bunch of old tournament stories from fishing Lake Okeechobee, Lake Kissimmee, and all that. So I'll start kind of dumping those out. I enjoy talking about them. It really developed me as an angler. Tournament fishing is one thing that will change you, force you to think in different ways and adapt in comparison to just going out for a day of fishing. But as of right now, I like a day of fishing, shooting some video, bringing it to you guys. But we'll see you next time. Hit that like and subscribe button and drop your experiences down. You know, you can call me out, call me a ninny, or drop your experience down if you've had a negative tournament experience, because I know we've all had them. But I'm curious to see kind of what your perspective is on tournament fishing, why you like it, why you don't, why you're okay with it, why you do it sometimes. Tell me down in the comments box. Tight lines, guys.